Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you on the screen. Other pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair in store. So make sure you do stay to the end to find out which pair that is. But yeah, guys, I will go through my trades of the week first. I do have 2 trades to go through, and then we'll progress into the analysis shortly after. So if there is a particular pair you do want to see my analysis to, feel free to skip ahead using the timestamps below. But I had one position this week, but I was holding a position from last week on pound NZD, which I'm still just about currently in. We did see a lot of pound weakness right at the end of the week. We had some news that didn't come out too good for the pound. Let me switch to FXCM. Too good for the pound. So pound did take a big hit on Friday, as you can see here. So this is the trade I was holding from not this Wednesday, but last week Wednesday after CPI, holding that trade off a break me test of this area here. And last time we spoke, price was around here. We did see a lovely move higher, but now price is struggling at the highs over here. We've had a couple of attempts trying to break through. Hasn't been particularly great. My stop loss is at break even, so worst case scenario, I do get taken out of this trade for a break even, which is around the 2.09600 mark. So we'll see what happens. Not a lot of room to work with coming into next week when we do open up. If pound does remain weak, very weak, probably will be taking out the trade, but maybe we do push on. I am looking at areas here for possible entries to get back into the trade if I do get stopped out, or possible additional positions. But of course, we'll talk a lot more about that when we do get to pound NZD later in the stream. I'll stream it today, later in the video. My trade that I took this week was shorts on Aussie dollar, one of the pairs I was really keen on trading this week. Gave me a really nice entry. It was an aggressive trade because I was anticipating momentum just to continue. I was talking about a lot of dollar strength this week, and I was expecting just that momentum to continue because we had such a strong finish from last week. So we didn't see much retracement here in Aussie dollar. I think we opened up here, minor retracement, retest that low, hopped into a nice shift of momentum. I was seeing some downside, and I have been trailed out of this position for 1 hour profit. Price did have a quite hefty pullback on Friday after a mini kind of crash there on Friday morning, Thursday evening, and I have been trailed out 1 hour. I'm still very bullish on dollar, so pairs like Aussie dollar, Euro USD, Pound USD, I will be looking at shorts, and we'll get onto it in just a moment. But first, before we jump into Euro USD, let me take a look at the DXY and just share my opinion on that real quick. As you can see from the arrow there, that is what I'm expecting. Essentially, if we clear the chart, zoom to the daily time frame, I'm looking at price moving back into the high there at 107 roughly. So there is still a bit more upside I'm expecting for DXY. We've been very consistent with all these higher lows here. One down there, second over there, third, fourth, fifth. And we've been slowly progressing to the upside, slowly taking out highs as well, as you can see. So the market's been slowly breaking structure to the upside whilst maintaining those higher lows. And now we've just seen a really impulsive move to the upside, really showing us that the buyers are in control of the market. So I'm expecting us to get to the next key level, which is this high over here, 107.064. So it depends what dollar wants to do. Of course, I could be wrong as well. I'm just dealing probabilities, but I'm only looking for buying opportunities from the DXY perspective. So I'm very bullish on the dollar. So the 2 opportunities, or 2 kind of scenarios I'm looking at, we're kind of consolidating a little bit now for the DXY. We have been ranging for a little bit. So possibly we could see price just range and then just break higher. That is, of course, definitely a possibility. We've had a big impulse, market's taking a bit of a breather, and then we just see another big breakout come next week. Or the market may want to pull back because we're consolidating here, finding it hard to push higher. We may pull back, find some more buys, and then push on, which could give some really nice opportunities if we do pull back. I'm looking at a couple of areas for some buys. This is a really nice level here of prior resistance. Of course, will now be turned support. Never really had a big retest of that level, so I do like it. And also this area here as well, again, brief resistance, broke through great momentum, never had a retest either. So looking at 105.500 and also 105 pretty much on the dot for some buying opportunities. So keeping a close eye on those opportunities in the DXY, but of course looking to take the inverse on other dollar pairs, shorting Euro USD, shorting Pound USD. but the analysis is I'm expecting more upside. So let's get to Euro USD. So as you can see from Euro USD, we've had the same move but in the opposite direction. Lovely move to the downside, very, very bearish. Now kind of get a bit of consolidation. I have been talking about a retest of this structure here for some shorts, which we didn't quite see this week. We came very, very close, but just missed it. So potentially because of all this consolidation, we might actually go and test it at the start of next week and then get the sell-off. Or we may come a little bit higher and test this low here, which is trading around 1.07300. We may push up a little bit higher, test this area here and short. Both levels look really good. Both levels I'm interested in shorting, and the risk reward looks very good as well. If I scale to the daily chart, I'm expecting us to come back into the lows here. So in my book, there's still a long way to go for Euro USD. You can see consistent lower highs here as well. So same thing as DXY, but just the opposite, breaking through structure there too. So looking at correction, continuation back into 1.05. That remains the plan. So now I just need to look for opportunities to enter the trade. And as I said, it will either, well, the areas I'm interested in, it will either be this low here or this low here on a retest of those structures. Then yeah, looking to short on a retest upon some confirmation, of course. Not just going to be jumping into the trade without looking. I want to see some evidence that we are rejecting these areas, and then I'll be more than happy to take some trades. Targets, again, keeping it very simple, back down to the low here. If you're looking to swing the trade a little bit more aggressively, like I said, there are some daily targets down here around the 1.05 mark, but you know, even a push to the low there makes a lot of sense too. So that'll be up to you guys depending on your trade management and the risk reward you're aiming for. But this does remain the plan for Euro USD, so it hasn't changed since last week. We kind of just saw a lot of choppiness really on Euro, so hopefully we can get that move next week, but looking for a lot more downside for Euro USD. Okay, so over to dollar yen. So dollar yen still very bullish on this one. We're still pushing higher aggressively, still creating higher highs and higher lows. Coming into the week, I was talking about break and retest of these areas here. Nice consolidation, break and retest that. That would have been a nice entry, or retest of this area, which we still haven't had, which is a really, really nice zone of prior resistance, multiple tests of that level, which now will be acting as support. And of course, we haven't come back to test either one of those areas because dollar yen has just been very, very strong this week. I still think there is some more upside to be had for dollar yen. Looking at the 160 area, we do have a major high over there, more or less around the 160 area, which price could be gravitated towards in the near future. Still very, very far away from current price. If I do measure it from current price to that area, still about 450, 500 pips away. So still pretty far away, but that could be where price is slowly working our way towards. If we look at the monthly chart here, it does look like we're breaking through significant resistance. I know we still got 10 days left before the month does close, but if we do close above this, then it wouldn't be the craziest thing to say that we can probably expect continuation back to the high there. But in terms of looking at current momentum, it's still very bullish, so I wouldn't want to be looking at any counter trend opportunities for dollar yen unless something crazy happens and we have a big meltdown and break structure, which we could do. But unless something that does happen, I would only focus on buys. So the analysis pretty much stays the same coming into next week. We've got the high here, which price has respected a few times. Now will be turned healthy support. Same down here as well. This is going to be healthy support if we get a pullback there. And this too is a really nice level to buy from. Of course, Bank of Japan could intervene at any time as well, which could push us down some more back to this area, maybe even further. But they still remain really nice levels to buy from if we can get moves to those areas. And of course, if price just becomes very, very bullish, then we're probably going to be looking at a break and retest of the high, because that's probably the most realistic trade opportunity we'll actually get. In terms of targets, difficult to say. I have pointed out 160 all the way up there, but you're probably not going to target that for the trade. You're either looking at psychological levels or just trading a stop loss. Dollar yen's very, very bullish at the moment, so you could catch a really nice winner, but there is no kind of real target to aim for apart from on the higher time frame. So my advice will be just trading a stop loss and seeing how far you can take it. Take partials along the way if you want to, but I think trading stop loss works well in these conditions. But keep an eye on these areas for some buy setups. A break and retest of 154.800, a retest of 153.500, or a retest of 152 looks good for some buys next week for dollar yen. Okay, so next up we've got USD CAD. So USD CAD, another dollar pair. I'm still bullish on this one. I have been speaking about this weekly level around the 1.385 level, I believe. So yeah, around 1.3820. Still expecting price to push back into that weekly level. We had a really strong close last week. I'm looking at some corrections for some continuations next week. So I'm treating this as just a pullback. If I clone that, bring it to the downside, just nice healthy bull flag pattern. And I'm expecting more upside next week if we can reject some of these areas, 1.37. Also, I'm liking this level here. I'm not too sure if we'll have a pullback that big, but if we do, this level looks good as well, around the 1.36500 mark as well. But yeah, dollar CAD for me, I'm still very bullish on this one. Market structure is still pointing up. As we can see, consistent higher highs and higher lows. Very, very corrective behavior over here. But since the big breakout, I'm looking at a correction and a continuation of that momentum. And again, if my analysis is correct or does become fulfilled on the DXY, then most likely dollar CAD's going to move up as well. So keeping a close eye on these two levels here. We're almost there, so potentially early next week we could see price test these areas, give some nice entry signals and targets. I think just keep it straightforward back to the high there around 1.383. I know we do have the weekly level I just mentioned, but there's a good chance we could reject the high and come back down as well. So it depends on your trade management, but a realistic target would be back at the high, which makes perfect sense. So dollar CAD still bullish. Keep an eye on 1.37, 1.365 for some entries. I'm looking for a move back to the swing high next week. Okay, so on to Euro Pound. So Euro Pound finished off the week very, very bullish off the back of some pound weakness. Of course, that is a recipe for Euro Pound to push higher. I was talking about this level here this week because all we've had for the past month or two, yeah, a couple of months, 3 months, has been range bound price action. We've just been rebounding from level to level. We've been holding on to this support quite a lot lately as well. So I said, coming into this area of resistance, it's a good place to look for some shorts for a move back to the downside, potentially back to the lows there as well. Didn't quite see that happen. We did see a reaction at the 0.857 level. As you can see, big level resistance. Kind of moved halfway before it did push bullish. And now it's looking very, very aggressively bullish as well. Strong close on the daily chart, strong close on the weekly chart. And it does look like price has kind of broken away from this support level, and we're really starting to see a breakout now. So after this strong candle closure for this week, I do expect next week to see some upside. We may not close bullish, but I do think we can push higher, at least wick higher at least, which could provide some nice opportunities on the lower time frames, since now we've left behind two areas which look good for some retest. 0.85885, which will be the high here, or this high here as well, 0.857, two great levels of prior resistance, now turn support, which could make up for some really nice levels to buy from upon some confirmation as well. But I do like what I'm seeing because the market has been forming these lows here. Excuse me, these lows back here, and it looks like we're forming some higher lows now. And of course, we just made some higher highs as well. As you can see, the market is breaking higher. So there's a slight turn of events here. It looks like the market could be looking to trend higher. And of course, with the strong weekly and daily candle closure, it does look like we can see some more upside here. So healthy pullbacks are kind of necessary. Don't want to look to follow that momentum, especially with a pair as choppy as Euro Pound. It's not really a good idea to buy breakouts with this pair. You do want price to pull back before looking too long. But in this situation, I'll be looking at those two levels. I'm not really focused on Euro Pound, but if I was, it will be those two levels I'll keep an eye out for. And this area here, with all of these wicks, would make up for a nice level of resistance to target around 0.86176, which we're almost at there already. So let's see if we can get a pullback to start the week and then continuations for the rest of it. That remains the plan for Euro Pound. Okay, so next up we've got Aussie dollar. So I'm still short bias on the Aussie dollar, still expecting more downside. My targets on the higher time frame still remain at this low here, 0.63, because we've had this big impulse to the downside over here, consolidation, and now another impulse. So now I'm expecting this momentum to take us back down to the next key support which is this structural low here at 0.63. So the plan is just looking for those pullbacks for for Aussie dollar, and then expecting price to eventually hit those targets. In terms of opportunity this week, I'm looking at this high here. We can look at the structure here, nice and tidy price action from Aussie dollar. As long as we can maintain this bearish structure and not suddenly go and break through it, I'm expecting that downside to come into fruition. If you do see price break that structure, it may be a deeper pullback before we sell off, but I'll be a bit more relaxed with my short bias and not so keen and jumping into things. But as of right now, we do have this prior lower high, which gave us this low. So as long as we don't break through that, that also becomes a nice level to short from as well. That becomes a nice level to short from. And targets, it's up to you. Back to the low here makes a lot of sense. Or you can be a bit more aggressive and target the lows down here, which again makes sense. But of course, you do open yourself up to possibilities of price coming back and taking out break even. So it'll be up to you how you want to manage your trades. But for me, Aussie dollar looks like a really good short. As long as we can hold 0.645, I'm looking at push eventually back down to 0.63 for Aussie dollar. Okay, so over to NZD CAD. So I did miss a trade on NZD CAD this week, which was a trade I was talking about coming into the week and on my weekly analysis, which was a retest of this low here to short NZD CAD. The reason why I did miss the trades is because I was having lunch at the time. So unfortunately, I wasn't there to enter the trade, but it did turn out to be a really lovely move to the downside for NZD CAD. Again, reasons behind the trade is that we've had this bearish structure coming into play, and the market is seeing some really healthy bearish momentum, nice pullback, looking for the next lower high in this sequence. I do expect us to eventually come back to the lows here. If we zoom out, we've been bearish for quite a while. Price still respected structure, so I do think eventually we'll just see price nestle back at those lows around 0.79700. So I think there's still a lot more downside to be had. Therefore, I'm not so bummed out at the opportunity or the missed opportunity, because I think we can get some more. I'm looking at two setups, either a retest of this consolidation here, because if I map out the structure, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and of course lower low, which could still be a lot further down. We haven't pulled back yet. So I'm looking at either a retest of this consolidation or a retest of this low, depending how far this move does fall. If we keep pushing and it's a really big move, then I'll look for a retest of this low. If we suddenly just turn bullish coming into the market open, then I'll be looking at a retest of the consolidation, because this is not enough for me to consider looking to short. I need a bigger breakout to short on that retest of that low, something like we had here. Really healthy break of that support, turn resistance, really nice short this week. So looking at an opportunity on the retest of these two areas. In terms of targets, like I said, I do have a higher time frame target for them, and I'll just be trading my stop loss as things go along. So I won't really have a target for the trade. I'll just let my trading stop loss take me out the trade eventually. But for people who are looking for targets, then depends. If we're up here, then of course a push back into the low here makes a lot of sense. If you're looking for the retest of that level there, then it just depends where we pull back from. Let's say if we continue to push down and then pull back, then of course this here will make up for a good target. Or if you want to be a bit more aggressive, then you do have the swing low there on the daily chart around 0.79 as well. So again, that'll be up to you. Those are just a few ideas which make sense, and depending on your risk to reward you're looking at, you can target where you like to. But NZD CAD still short bias, multiple time frames looking good, still seeing good momentum. So let's hope we can get some nice pullbacks this week into 0.81100, 0.81400, and looking for a lot more downside next week. Okay, so next up we've got pound NZD. So pound NZD, I am still bullish for. I'm still just about holding my trade. I'm not too far out for being trailed out at break even. My break even is around here. As you can see, we're looking extremely bearish right now, but we'll see how the market does open up. But for pound NZD, I'm still long bias. Reason being, market structure in the higher time frames is still pointing up. We're still seeing this bullish structure here at play. As long as we maintain that structure, I do expect more upside. Yes, we are failing at the highs there, which is a sign that we could reverse potentially, but we haven't broken structure yet. If we do start taking out these lows here, then yes, I'll start to back away. But at the moment, we're still intact, and we could be having a nice retest of this area here, just to continue our path to the upside after a rejection of that high. So still looking at longs from 2.10034 roughly. Again, it does really matter how we open up, what type of price action we see in this area, because of course at the moment there's a lot of bearish momentum right now for pound NZD. Pound's very, very weak. You can see this is a humongous candle breaking down. We're seeing a follow through of that. So this is definitely not something that I want to wait for the market to open and just look to buy. And you see some strong evidence in the market's holding that level, wicks, shift momentum before I would enter. But if we can do, then fantastic. If not, you start breaking through, then this is kind of a big obstacle. If you can bounce from there, that is a nice place to buy as well. If you break through that, then I'll probably rethink my bullish bias on pound NZD. In terms of targets, I think this makes up for a really nice target. We rejected it a few times as well. That'll make up for a nice target. I think we can go further if we do see continuation on the higher time frames, but for next week, I think a pushback to 2.11730 makes a lot of sense, but we need to see what price does at this low. So we'll see what happens at market open / Monday and Tuesday early on next week. There could be some nice trades there, but I am still bullish on pound NZD going into next week. Okay, so now we've got CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, I am bullish on this one still. Not so eager to buy it, to be honest. The yen pairs kind of a little bit scary for me. I do like CHF, JPY, but CAD Yen, just because of the highs we're trading at and the fact that Bank of Japan could, of course, intervene at any time. In fact, we're, of course, already seeing these aggressive wicks to the downside. So it doesn't give me a lot of confidence to buy CAD Yen, even though I'm still bullish because of the market structure. We're still seeing higher highs and higher lows, multiple time frames pointing up, all the major time frames are pointing up as well. And right now we formed a really healthy level of resistance, which if we can see a nice strong breakout of it, which we're seeing some signs, but I do want price to push a little bit more aggressively and a bit further to the upside to really confirm the breakout. If we can do that, it does leave behind a nice level of support to buy from, anticipate the next higher low and a continuation of the trend. So that is what I do favor if I'm just looking purely at the technicals. But because of the possibility of Bank of Japan intervening again and these nasty wicks here, they can really be really unfortunate, a bit tricky to trade around. So yeah, I kind of like the possibility of a big intervention, price does drop, and then looking to buy it back up after, rather than buying before and just kind of hoping not to be caught in the middle of anything. So that's kind of where I'm situated with the yen pairs. But in terms of a technical opportunity, if everything does look clean, we may see a big breakout, Bank of Japan intervene, big push down, we might get a nice buy around 112.200 to follow the move higher. Again, in terms of targets, no real target I'm looking at for CAD Yen. We haven't been at these prices for a very, very long time. So kind of using trading stop loss makes the most sense at these prices and just seeing how far we can take it. But still bullish on CAD Yen, looking at breaking retest of 112.250 and still expecting more upside next week. Okay, so over to pound USD. So pound USD, I'm still very bearish on. We've broken out the consolidation very strongly, and now things are looking extremely bearish here for pound, especially towards the end of the week with that weakness. And we can see here, big push to the downside there as well. So for me, pound USD, like I said last week, there's a good chance we could be coming back to the lows here around 1.21. We've left behind this level of price support, now term resistance. I was looking for a retest of this area this week, but price didn't do that, unfortunately. We kind of just consolidated and now we're breaking to the downside. We still could do, if we see a lot of weakness in the dollar, maybe pound gains some strength, we might see that retest and then the follow through. Or if everything just stays as it is, we might just be seeing break and retest in the lower time frames. 1.242 looks like a good area, and we could just see price follow through based on that premise there, because a pullback to that area would be my first option, or my preferred option I should say, in terms of looking to get an entry. But I don't think we'll probably see a pullback that big and get the trade there, so we have to be a bit more micro with our entries, micro with the setups, and a retest of this area could be what gives us a nice opportunity to short. And targets, again, depending how far we push down, if you pull back from there, that could be a healthy target. Or if you want to look for the swing opportunity, 1.21 looks very, very good as well. But pound USD for me is extremely bearish here. Things are looking really, really good in terms of quality setups, healthy breakout to the downside there as well, strong candle closures on the weekly chart. So I'm still expecting follow through from that perspective as well. So keep an eye on a pullback for pound USD, a retest of 1.24200, and also the retest of the low of the range if we do get that pullback around 1.25200 as well. Both look really, really good. Let's see what we can get, but I am looking to short pound USD next week, eventually all the way back down to 1.21. Okay, so over to pound CAD. So pound CAD, I was pretty bullish coming into the week. I did say I'm expecting price to hold this area, see some continuation, which we did see. For the first half of the week, price did reject the area. We did see some upside. I was then waiting for a break and retest of this area for some entries for myself, and then looking to buy it back into the high there at 1.735. So that was the plan I was looking for pound CAD, because if I do zoom out, you can see the market is not the best trending market in the world, but we do have somewhat of an uptrend here. The market is pretty consistent with these higher lows, but at the end of the week, after we saw that weakness in the pound, we saw a really big move breaking through these lows here, which is not a good sign for the buyers, especially with the impulsivity and the strength of that move is definitely not a good sign. So I will be looking to switch my bias from bullish to bearish, not necessarily in the grand scheme of things, because for me, in terms of the daily structure, this is still our low, which gave us the high. So this is still the important low, which still keeps us bullish on the daily chart. But from a full H perspective, lower time frame perspective, we are breaking structure and we are forming lower highs now as well. So I do like shorts here for counter trend opportunities on pound CAD, and a pullback to this area here will be a really nice place for some shorts around 1.71. This is where all the momentum came from, breaking through support here as well. So this will be turn resistance, supply. I think this is a really nice place for a short. And it kind of lines up with the bias on pound USD as well. Pound USD, pound CAD, very similar pairs, tend to move in the same direction most of the time. So I do like it when we've got pound CAD giving us short opportunities and pound USD. It's always good to have correlated pairs in the same direction. But I do like this opportunity for pound CAD. I definitely will be focused on pound USD rather than pound CAD, because it's a slightly better opportunity. But if you are looking at pound CAD, this is like a decent opportunity as well, around 1.71. And shorts, you know, back down to where we pull back from. Let's say momentum dies around here, we pull back, and of course that will make up for a really nice target. If you're looking to push it a little bit further, you do have daily support around here, which is 1.695. So that could make up for a nice target as well. It depends how far you want to push your trade, but I wouldn't push it further than that, because that is still strong daily support as well, which could reject us higher. But yeah, really strong move to the downside for pound CAD, exceptional bearish momentum, looking just to follow that, not try and create our own waves in the market, wait for the wave, pull back, and then we can join that momentum, join that wave with pound CAD, which is to the downside. So yeah, particularly bearish on pound CAD. Let's see if we can get a pullback, and expecting some more downside next week. Okay, so on to pound yen. So pound yen, I did say I was bullish on this one. I am still bullish on pound yen as well, but we're just getting consolidation now. Price is finding it really hard to break through some resistance here at 192.750 more or less, and price action is getting a little bit ugly. If I do zoom out for pound yen, you can still see the market's making these higher highs and higher lows. So we are still definitely bullish in terms of market structure. Yes, we are showing some signs that we are struggling, running out of steam, but I wouldn't be looking to sell it just yet, because I need price to at least break out the channel and break structure. Then of course we got some really nice sells in our hands if that can happen, but we're still quite far away from that. So in terms of a good buy opportunity, I'll just wait for this resistance to break. Market has reacted many times at that level, so it's definitely a level where price is focused at. And if you can see a strong break of that, that will be a really big sign that, okay, the bulls are back, pound yen is looking bullish again, sellers are failing to hold resistance, and most likely we'll see a continuation, back to the high of the channel, create some new highs. Again, no particular target I would have for pound yen really. We do have a big high here, so I would watch out for that around 196-ish, but because we haven't been at these prices for a while, again, with the yen pairs, just trading stops makes the most sense. But yeah, buying opportunities above 192.750 make the most sense to me here for pound yen, because we have a lot of rejection at that area. For all we know, we could be looking at a reversal, maybe a big counter trend move. We could even be breaking structure to the downside as well. So if you're looking at shorts, then I would wait for this support here to break out the channel as well, and then there could be some nice shorts on the retest of that. So if you are looking at shorts, I would wait for at least 190-200 to break, and I would say I wouldn't want to trade in this area as well. So if you are looking at pound yen on the low time frames, I would say maybe refrain from trading in this area, because it's very, very chaotic. If price can break the low or break the high, things get a lot clearer, momentum back in the market, you can follow that momentum a lot easier. So that will be my analysis going for pound yen, but price action hasn't been great. So let's wait for us to get a breakout. If we're going to the upside, I want to see a break of that resistance, then trading stops to the upside. If you do break to the downside, wait for a break of 190-200, look for a retest, and then some shorts back into the low here makes a lot of sense, around 188. So that will be the plan next week for pound yen. Okay, so now on to gold. So nothing's changed with me, with gold still bullish. I was expecting a bit more retracement this week, since we had such a strong bearish move to the downside towards the end of last week. I said if you can break structure, then that might open up the door for some more downside, some retracement, a bigger retracement for us to buy back up again. But we didn't see that happen early this week. We did respect this area, used that as support, and price has been slowly moving higher. So with gold, everything is still bullish. Daily, weekly, we're still seeing momentum to the upside, so nothing has really changed, except we are throwing wicks here. So there is some signs that gold is slowing down, is some signs that gold is starting to struggle. If we are looking at buying opportunities, then I want to see some life come back into the market for gold, a strong up move, breaking through the highs, taking out these wicks, and that will leave behind a nice level to then buy from and then continue the move. So that's kind of what I would want to see for gold longs. If anything, I'll kind of stay away from gold. I'm not looking to short it. This is way too bullish for me to short it. But if I'm looking to long it, I need to see evidence that momentum's coming back. Something like this, a nice up move there with some healthy impulsive behavior, breaking structure, breaking through the resistance, because we've had a few attempts now at breaking this structure here, and we're failing to do so. So price is kind of squeezing in this area here between the trend line and the resistance. We could tank lower. In that case, if we can break structure, then there could be some counter trend opportunities. But if we are going to continue this move, which is still my main plan, still my plan A, if we can break structure, then leaving behind a nice level of support, which then I can look for a retest and longs. And again, no particular price I would look to target, just using trading stop loss in these conditions. We're in the middle of nowhere. We can't really look left and target a specific point here. So I think trading stop loss makes the most sense in these conditions. But gold for me still very bullish, multiple time frames still up. Yes, showing some signs of slowing down, starting to struggle. But if we can see a strong break of the resistance, show some life coming back into gold, looking at pullbacks and continuations next week. Okay, so on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, we are holding some key support. I did give out 2 areas last week where we could look to buy Bitcoin from. This was the first area here. It's really strong support. It didn't hold, but the second level I was talking about is holding, minus a bit of a fake up there to the downside, but we have rejected it pretty well. Big wick rejection here, strong shift in momentum. I do think we can see some upside from this area. I have touched upon 52k as well, so if this support doesn't hold, then I think 52k is our next best area. Nice consolidation, big break to the upside, a lot of momentum from this area. So if we get there, I think that's going to be a great buy as well. But for now, holding on to support here, and I'm looking at continuation to the upside for Bitcoin, back to highs at 73, 74k. So that is the plan. In terms of opportunities to actually trade it, I will be looking for breaking retest of these highs here on the lower time frames, 4H hourly, waiting for a break, a retest of that area, and just looking to buy with that momentum on those next higher lows. And of course, targets, it'll be up to you to decide, because there's some local level of resistance that makes sense if you're just looking for shorter term opportunities. If you're looking for a swing, I would be looking to target the highs there. around 73,200, we'll call it, just below 74k. So yeah, that's the plan for Bitcoin. Still bullish. Keep an eye on the break. We tested the high there. Also, an opportunity I would want to point out as well is if price was to come back down and retest the low. I think this is also a smart place to get back into a buy. We could see a big double bottom there, so I would also point that out there. But if this momentum continues, we could get a nice retest there for some follow through. So keep an eye out for some buys next week for Bitcoin. And last but not least, we've got a bonus pair, which again, for the second week running, is NZD USD. I still like this one to the downside, equally as much as Aussie dollar. In fact, the price action is very, very similar. I'm looking at us coming back to the lows here on the daily chart. Again, big impulse to the downside, correction / consolidation. Lovely follow through to the downside, retest and consolidation there. Another follow through to the downside. So again, looking at pullback and continuations back into that low. So, well, not too far away, probably about 50, 60, 70 pips. How far? 80 pips. So not too far away from that low. And the plan is next week is just shorting the pullbacks till we get there. And of course, waiting for confirmation and waiting for criteria to be met, but looking at short-term opportunities. I was talking about retest of this low here, which we just missed. Unfortunately, I was looking to see if I could short NZD USD on the retest of that low this week, but we didn't quite get there. But we have left behind some resistance, which price could go and retest. And of course, we could still retest the level I was talking about last week as well. So I'll still be keeping a close eye on that because that still remains untested and still a really big level to short from. Big move to the upside could be turned as resistance. I also was talking about this low here as well. So if the market is going to have a deeper pullback, then I would keep an eye peeled on that level there around 0.597. But we are just looking for the pullbacks to short. Also, the retest of the low here, it might be cutting a little bit tight because the daily level is not too far away, but that could also be a nice opportunity. If you're scaling down to the low time frames, you could also make some nice risk reward opportunities there. So I would also point that out. For me, I would like price to pull back a little bit deeper. So I'm not really too interested in the break when we test that low, because with the entries I'm taking, I probably won't get the risk reward I'm after. And it might be a little bit too close for comfort. But any of these levels here, I would be looking to short from if I can get my confirmation, really, because all these levels look good, and it just depends on how far we pull back. We may not pull back, which means we may just see price break straight through and continue that momentum, or we might see price find support here. We've had a big wick there and we might push up. Now study the price action there, see if my criteria is met. If it is met, I'll take the trade, and I'm looking at all of these areas here because they all do look very, very tempting. So we're keeping a close eye here for NZD USD. Again, another dollar pair. I'm very, very bullish on DXY, on the dollar. So all these correlating dollar pairs, I'm expecting the exact inverse of them. So I'm liking the opportunities a lot of correlation there. Just need to find some good entries. And that, my friends, does bring us to the end of the analysis for this week. If you have found it useful, please be sure to drop a like on the video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well, and make sure you do hit the bell as well so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. Comment down below any pairs you're looking at. I'm interested to find out. But guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you all in the next one.